You guys are having a good day. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. Welcome to the Black Financial Channel. This is theblackfinancialchannel.com. I want to talk to you guys about what's going on with Robinhood and this Reddit subgroup that has captured the attention of the world, that has basically taken the entire market by storm. Lots of crazy stuff is going on right now. You're seeing a lot of chaos in the stock market that you've never seen before. And so I thought I would kind of let you guys in on some research that I did pretty much throughout the night and all day yesterday about what's going on in current market trends and all that good stuff. Now, so here's the deal. So first of all, I want to ask everybody, how many of you, give me a yes or no, how many of you have bought anything related to any of this, any GameStop, any AMC, any of that, follow the Reddit group, things like that. A lot of people have. I invested in it, and I minimize a lot of my risk. Let me just say that there's a lot of chances I wasn't going to take with my money, but there were some opportunities there, and I did dive into some of those opportunities. And so basically, here's the deal. So with all this stuff going on with Reddit and Robinhood and everything else, one of the things that you should know first and foremost in terms of why things went down the way they went down is there's two competing theories as to why Robinhood, decided not to let people trade. I don't know if you followed this or not, but basically initially Robinhood was pretty much letting people kind of do what they wanted to do. Robinhood presented itself as sort of like, okay, we are here to help you go rob from the rich and give to the poor, that kind of thing, like the Robin Hood story. But then there were people who felt that Robinhood was actually Robin Hoods, that they were actually going out and protecting the rich against the poor, which nobody knows exactly what their whole incentive was. So I watched a lot of interviews and did a lot of research on what was going on with the company and what the CEO was saying and what the Reddit forums were saying. I spent time this morning listening to some of the Reddit guys talking about, their motivations behind why they wanted to buy GameStop, their motivation behind why they were digging into AMC and making these moves. And so a few things I want to lay out is the two competing theories in terms of why Robinhood cut trading off. One is very sinister, almost like a conspiracy theory. The other one is a little less sinister. Now, I'm not here to tell you which one is 100% true. Both of them could be true. But basically, the less sinister version of events is Robinhood ran into what would be called a capital requirement, meaning that when you're making a lot of these trades and you have people, whenever you have stocks being traded, somebody has to create a market. So think of the stock market like a club, like a nightclub or a dating service, or a mixture between the two. Let's say you have a club where you tell all the men in town, if you come here, you're going to meet you a pretty girl. You tell all the women in town, hey, girl, if you come here, you're going to meet you a good husband or maybe just a good boyfriend or whatever it is that you want. And so you bring together the men and the women and they start connecting. They start trading, just like buyers and sellers. Think of the men as the buyers, the women as the sellers, or the women as the buyers and the men as the sellers, however you want to look at it. So there's a lot of trade. And because you're running the club, you're Suge Knight or somebody and you're letting people into the club and they're doing trades. Well, basically, when you create a market like that, there's inherent risk that comes with creating that market. One of the conditions of creating that market, that dating market, it might be a market for booty or a market for weddings or whatever it is that you're creating. One of the risks of creating a market is that you have to make sure at the very least that the buyers and sellers are both safe and secure, right? Like, because if one of the guys does something bad to one of the women, then people aren't going to want to come to your club anymore. Or if one of the women is Cardi B and she decides she wants to drug and rape, some of the men, then that's gonna hurt your club. You have to have certain people that you just say, look, you can't come into the club, right? You ever see that when the bouncers see somebody fighting, they like, get the hell up out of here, you can't come back, right? Well, you basically with stock trading, the people that make these markets that bring buyers and sellers together have to make sure that the club is safe and have to make sure that the goal is accomplished. So imagine that if you had a situation where, for example, let's say that suddenly the number of women to men was like 10 to 1, like there was like 10,000 women and only 800 men. Well, then at that point, you'd have to kind of modify something in order to maintain balance in the ecosystem, right? Now, again, it could be sinister, right? It could be like, look, I have an agenda where I believe that all the women should date women. I don't think women should be dating men. So I'm going to restrict continuously or to artificially restrict the number of men in the club so that I can pursue my agenda, right? That would be sinister. Or it could be something where you say, whoa, we got too many women and not enough men for all these women. So we got to make some adjustments. And also it's getting kind of crazy, getting kind of dangerous right now because the women are tackling the men because there's 10 women to every man. So we got to find a way to balance that. So Robinhood is basically saying, look, with all this chaotic activity, with all this stuff happening and it's changing so fast, it is difficult for us to maintain our position as a market maker. We have a hard time running this nightclub because suddenly things have gotten crazy. There's a whole lot more women coming in than men, and also there's some fighting and some crazy things going on. So we got to balance that, right? So that's their argument. Their argument is, look, we weren't trying to suppress you or oppress you or anything like that. We just had to balance some things out, and some of that, a little bit of that is weighed out by the fact that Robinhood overnight had to get $1 billion of capital injected into their system in order for them to even operate, right? But this could be covered. This could be a beard, right? They could literally be saying like, look, let's just borrow this $1 billion so that people won't realize that the fix is in, that we're really working for the billionaire hedge funds. And we really wanted to make sure that the little guy never got a chance to make any money. I'm not going to say that's not possible because conspiracy theories are real, right? Conspiracies do actually happen. They've occurred all throughout American history, but it's not to say that that everything is a conspiracy theory. The reason, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I believe in conspiracies because I know that they happen. Like I know the Tuskegee experiment did happen, right? I know that this year, the conspiracies are all over the place, and a lot of them have merit. Was it a pandemic or a plandemic? How did those people siege the Capitol when your $1 trillion military was right down the street? They can't even defend the most important building in America against a bunch of old toothless rednecks from Tennessee who didn't even have any serious weapons. What makes you think that they can keep the whole country safe? But or maybe you wanted them to come into the Capitol and bust the windows out so you can get some pictures and a photo op and get an excuse to go ban 80 million people from the internet, right? Like, let's keep it 100, right? Has anybody thought about that? Has anybody wondered, like, how did they siege the Capitol and they ain't even got no weapons? It ain't like China did it. It ain't like the Russian military came with some armed troops. It was a bunch of people they didn't even have guns, most of them. Like, really? Okay, I digress. Let's get back to the reality here. So a lot of people are saying that there's something conspiratorial happening here, and I don't doubt that. If you want to know if I think the capital system is rigged, you know that I know it's rigged. I've told you guys it's rigged 1,000 times. I've told you 1,000,000 times that it's rigged. And one of the things I've always wanted you to do was understand how the rigging works so that you can let the rigging work in your favor. Now, the thing about something being rigged, though, is a system being rigged does not mean that there's no opportunity. A system can be subtly rigged where, for example, when it comes to wealth building and economic opportunity, there are ways you can look at the system and realize that it's partially rigged because, they hide things from you by putting them in books. Like a lot, they're like, okay, people aren't going to read this stuff, so we're going to put it in a book, or they're all going to go to college, but we're not going to teach any of them how to invest and how to actually own the companies because we don't want them owning companies. We want them working for us, right? So that's why if you go to the University of Texas or University of Tennessee, they're going to teach you how to go get a job. But if you go to Harvard and Yale, they teach you how to run the damn company. They teach you how to build a company and get other people to work for you, right? So it is rigged in that way. But just because it's rigged, that doesn't mean that it's completely impossible to work around because all you have to do is shift your behavior, right? They base it on the habits of millions of people. So what's the incentive and the motivation of people at Robinhood? Nobody really knows for sure, right? But I can tell you that based on the evidence, there are some serious fundamental issues with Robinhood that I've noticed, and I pointed these out to you guys in videos before, and I think that these are things you should be aware of. As a general rule, you probably should never have all your money on one app. Just know that. Just lay that out there. Let's keep that 100 right there from the beginning. Don't put all your money on one app. Not smart. The second part of that, though, is Robinhood has shown that, it's here's what Robinhood's done, right? Robinhood has completely disrupted all of finance with one basic thing. They've made trading frictionless. They've made it easy for people to trade who couldn't trade before. Two ways. One, they got rid of the commissions which is great. Okay, fine. But the commissions honestly weren't big enough to where, like, I wouldn't care if trading was zero commission or if there was a commission. I still, even when you had to pay commissions, I was still talking to you guys about investing 8, 9, 10 years ago, because even with the commissions, it still was the best move you could make. Back in 07, 08, investing back then could make you a millionaire right now, right? So the commissions were more of a psychological barrier than an actual barrier, right? It was really a lack of knowledge about why investing works, why stock market trading, as I've told you guys consistently every day for the last 15 years, why stock market investing is the number one factor that determines whether you get a chance to be rich. If you do not invest in the stock market over time, historically in America, chances are you will never be rich, especially if you don't invest at all. Let's just be clear about that. You cannot save your way to wealth. You must get on the economic superhighway. That is the stock market. Okay. So zero commission trading from Robinhood was a great innovation. It opened a lot of doors, but that wasn't really the big thing. The other big thing was that they did a great job with marketing and using the internet to go out and reach a lot of people who had money in their pocket, who were going to burn their money on something stupid, and say, hey, dude, if you're going to waste your money on something stupid, put it into the stock market, right? Go buy you some options or something, right? It doesn't matter if you're a long-term investor or short-term investor. You might flip your money. At least this way you have a chance for your money to grow. But if you go out and you buy, pizza and Air Jordans and trips to the movies, then your money's definitely not going to grow, right? So that little transition and that little marketing plan, it really worked really well. Robinhood blows up, gets millions and millions of investors because their gimmick works. So now you got another problem, though. You got the problem that you now have millions of people that are giving you real money, that are expecting you to be perfect all the time. And so that's a stressor, right? If you ever want to be under stress, manage a lot of people's money. In case you haven't noticed, I have never come out to you and said, hey, I'm forming the Dr. Boyce Watkins investment club, and I want you to send me your money, and we're going to all invest this together. I'm going to invest your money for you. I don't do that, because when you do that, there's a lot of a responsibility there. Not that the responsibility is a bad thing, but the expectations are high. You mess up a little bit, people go crazy on you. People will riot on your butt if you mess up their money, right? So Robinhood couldn't handle the volume they were getting. They had millions of people giving their hard-earned money, and so little things would happen, like the market would suddenly make a big move, and then Robinhood would go down at just the wrong moment. Right. Just literally right when you needed Robinhood the most, Robinhood's not there because the technology couldn't handle the weight. Also, there were other little things I noticed. Like, for example, I tried to switch some of my stocks over to a different brokerage because I told you I don't put all my money in one place. I tried to switch over. I called Robinhood. I talked to my broker on the other platform, and I was like, okay, so what's the procedure to move my stocks over? He's like, oh, yeah, just do this and fill out this form and tell Robinhood, blah, 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 blah. And I did that, and Robinhood was like, we can't help you do that. Like my broker's pissed. He's like, every brokerage can do this. Every brokerage can make it easy for you to shift your stocks over. And then Robinhood comes up with some lame excuse like, well, the reason we can't shift your stocks over is because you have crypto in your account. I'm like, what the puck? I'm trying not to cuss, so I'm saying, what the puck does me owning crypto have to do with my ability to get my stock moved over to another account? That those two are not related. That doesn't even make any sense. And literally there was no answer. And it took them a week to do something that a lot of brokerages could do in a day. That was one thing that told me, okay, Boyce, be careful with Robinhood, because Robinhood ain't ready for big time yet. They're kind of like Ashley Simpson's little sister, Jessica. Years ago, anybody old enough to remember Jessica Simpson's little sister, Ashley. Ashley was a little sister, remember? And Jessica Simpson was super famous. And her little sister, Jessica, wanted to become famous too. So Ashley made Jessica famous like really fast, like overnight. And so she gets on Saturday Night Live, and she's not like this seasoned performer who's been performing for years. She's new, and she's never been really in the big time before. And then when she gets on stage on SNL, which is live, something happened and the record skipped or something, and she didn't know how to handle that. Now, if it had been Beyonce knows how to handle anything. I saw Beyonce fall down a whole flight of stairs and land on her head. Anybody remember that? She landed right on top of her weave and got right up and kept dancing like nothing was going on. That's what a professional can do. A professional is like a soldier. They can just work through any situation. Jessica Simpson could not do that. Jessica Simpson froze up, and literally because she was so overwhelmed, she walked off stage. And literally you haven't seen her since. Like that ended her whole career. Well, Robinhood to some extent might be the Jessica Simpson of trading platforms. They have been pushed into prime time. Their valuation has been pushed to $20 billion almost overnight. I mean, imagine tomorrow or like 2 years from now, you're worth $20 billion when like right now you are where you are now. Like I doubt anybody in here is worth $20 billion. But imagine like literally in a matter of months, you're worth $20 billion. Those, billion-dollar problems are hard to solve, right? It takes you got to practice being a billionaire. So the Robinhood guys, I think, are guys that are not they may not be so bad. I'm not saying that they are or not. I'm not here to tell you what to think about that. I'm just here to say that they definitely are at the very least experiencing growing pains. Now, if it does become something even more sinister, that they were colluding on any level with I forgot what the company's called, but this company that had a short position that in any way influenced their desire to cut trading or to restrict trading on certain stocks, that's a problem. That's not just an ethical issue and a branding issue. That's a legal issue, right? That's a legal issue. And believe me, Robinhood has a lot of legal issues. They're probably spending, I bet you that their legal bill is at least $50 million a year by now. They're probably spending a gang of dollars on attorneys because everybody and their mama is suing Robinhood. So do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button right now. Please hit the thumbs up, share, subscribe button. Also, I have a free book if you care about Black people and you want to know my vision for the Black community and how we family by family can build our community. There's a free book you can pick up at allblackeconomics.com. It's called It Takes a Village to Raise the Bar. And so it's focused on the 4 pillars of power, that I believe that if Black people embrace these 4 pillars, that we can be the most powerful group of people on the planet by the year 2070. I specifically picked that year. So feel free to go to allblackeconomics.com if you'd like to get a free copy of the book. And also text the word Boyce to 31996 if you'd like to be notified when we go live. Some of you are here because I sent you a text. And so just text the word Boyce to 31996. Now, here's another interesting thing that I found out in my research. When I was down studying the Reddit community, and kind of taking a look, and I watched this podcast from this dude who seemed like he was really deep in that Wall Street Bets community, and I wanted to see what the thinking was of the guys that are making these trades and why they're doing it. You guys know my when I wrote my dissertation, it was on investor psychology, right? So investor psychology, how people think about money, has always been really fascinating to me. And so I really wanted to know not just what they were doing, but why. Like, what's your motivation? What's driving this? And clearly there's a populist element to this, right? There's this stick it to the man, like we don't want to be oppressed, fight the power. I like that, right? God bless it. I think it's great. I think that kind of, like every young person, if you haven't been pissed off at an old person in your life, then you've never been young before, right? You shouldn't just sort of agree to everything as it is. You should come in and kind of say, yo, look, we're going to have to push you out of the way so that we can actually, implement our vision of the world. And no better place, no better venue for this form of activism and populism than capitalist America. America is way too capitalist. You've got a bunch of greedy bastards that have been running the world for far too long. They're ruining the country. They're creating the massive inequality that we have in America. I'm sure a lot of them are making a killing from the pandemic. And also that we've just lost our decency as people. When people talk about making America great again, obviously as a Black man, I have a hard time with that issue because, I'm like, well, was it great when we were picking cotton? Is that what you're talking about? And so that's an issue, right? But if you really sort of take that part to the side a little bit and just talk about when America was at least trying to be great, you can go back actually to the period right after World War II, between about 1942 and 1972, maybe 1965, something like that, where America actually had a society where you could still come here and get rich. You could still come here and do well. But it wasn't like you got rich by screwing over poor people and forgetting that they exist. The inequality wasn't as bad. Maybe back then the CEO made, I don't know, 100 times more than the average worker. But now it's like 1,000 times more. Now it's just kind of like the 1% just have everything, and nobody wants to pay any taxes. Like you ask them to pay an extra 0.5% in taxes. Hey, look, pay an extra 0.8% in taxes, and another 10 million people won't starve to death. And they're like, I don't want to pay taxes because you're infringing on my liberties because I can't buy an extra Lamborghini and another Rolls Royce and another private yacht. Well, screw you, man. Like, that's sick. You're a screwed up human being if you think that way, right? So America, I do think that there's room to kind of argue that maybe we want to make America great on some level by at least being fair and decent and everything else. And so what I liked about the Robinhood movement is that these are people that are trying to be decent, right? They're just saying, share the wealth. They're like, look, you can go be a billionaire, go get your paper, but give us some paper too. Let us participate. Let's democratize capitalism. America is a capitalist democracy. I prefer for it to be a democracy with capitalism as opposed to a capitalist society with a little bit of democracy sprinkled in every now and then, right? The democracy should come before the capitalism. And that's an actual reflection of the fact that there is a lot of patience and tolerance and leeway, margin of error given to the billionaires. Like, nobody's mad that Jeff Bezos has more money than Jesus. They're just mad that they gotta like hear about all this while they're eating grilled cheese sandwiches and bologna about to get evicted from their apartment. That's the problem, right? And so I think that that this whole thing with Robinhood saying let's go stick it to the hedge fund managers and all that, I think that's cool and I like it. I think I'm also into war. Like, I study war. I think war is fascinating. So I'm like, oh, white people are fighting again. This is interesting. Like, they've been in civil wars like all year, like all summer when Antifa was burning down buildings in the hood or whatever the hell they were doing. Then you had the toothless hillbillies storming the Capitol. Again, this is not black people's fight, so please stop it, Negroes. Stop getting involved in stuff that ain't got nothing to do with you. And then now you've got this battle between the guys on Reddit, mostly guys. There's some women in there too, I'm sure, and the establishment, the Wall Street establishment. It is basically the Wall Street, Occupy Wall Street, the digital version of Occupy Wall Street. That's all this is. This is the digitized version of Occupy Wall Street, and it is far more effective. If you remember the first Occupy Wall Street about 07, 08, whenever it was, and it was right after the financial crash of 2008, right after Obama took over, then they're pissed off because basically Wall Street did this horrible magic trick where they made your money disappear, where they created these things called mortgage-backed securities. Anybody remember those? Mortgage-backed securities, where these were these instruments that they were selling to the public that did not have the economic value they claimed them to have. They were literally flat out lying to the public and telling them that these securities had a valuation that was a complete like fantasy, right? They completely made this up, but they didn't care. The reason they didn't care is because they're getting their $10 million bonus at the end of the year. They didn't care because they're getting their $1 trillion government bailout. Obama, your boy Obama, was one of the guys who wrote the damn check. And I don't have a problem with the fact that he knew that there was a need for a bailout. What I had a problem with was I said, why are you bailing out them and not bailing out anybody else? Why are you bailing out the people who don't really need to be bailed out? Actually, these not only do they not need to be bailed out, but many of them should probably go to jail. Right? You talk about market manipulation, you talk about pump and dumps, you talk about just lying. They were breaking the law. Like, they were breaking the damn law, and you let them all go. Well, why wouldn't people be mad about that? So Occupy Wall Street was right in the sense that Wall Street is kind of crazy. They really feel like they're above the law. That's the point. They feel like they're above the law. But the problem with Occupy Wall Street was it didn't seem, at least the media narrative, that just made it look kind of disorganized. They didn't seem to really be accomplishing anything other than having a bunch of hippies sitting in the middle, sitting in the middle of Wall Street, like playing their guitar all day and eating granola and stuff. And that didn't make sense to me. But this is actually a little more effective. This is a little more aggressive. This is leveraging another form of capital, this social capital, this capital you can create by pulling people together. It's like a digital version of a labor union to some extent, because one of the ways they created inequality in America was they killed the labor unions. When they killed the labor unions in the 60s, that created a massive amount of inequality because the billionaire robber barons didn't have to compete with the workers anymore, right? So ultimately now you've got something that's a little bit like a labor union, not quite, but similar, where people are basically saying, we're going to pull together all of our capital and we're going to kick your ass. And also it's going to be a targeted attack. We're not trying to fight the whole system at once. We're going to fight that company over that stock. That is the one battleground where this is going to happen. I think that's the most noble aspect of what I'm seeing. And I've read through the forum. I've watched the videos. I've studied and analyzed. I've listened to them talk and to try to see where their head is at. And just in case you want to know, like a lot of people act like younger people, like they're from another planet and that older people are from a different planet. And we don't, that's why they might not get each other. No, we're all from the same planet. I know what it was like to be 22 years old. It was yesterday in my mind. And so they're just a different version of the 22-year-olds that we were when we were 22. But basically, we were pissed off at older people when we were 22. They're pissed off at older people now. So that movement is good. And personally, my personal bias is I like it because I love the idea of young people getting involved in investing because that's the key to wealth. Now, the question I have, actually, but before I move to my question, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button. If you haven't done this yet, please hit the thumbs up, share, and subscribe button. And I should also mention that the Women of Wealth Weekend hosted by Lene Javette starts tomorrow. The URL is on the screen, womenofwealthweekend.com. And so they're going to talk about all of this. The sister from Stocks and Stilettos is going to be there. And she knows a lot about the stock market. And I think this is a great time to talk about that. But then also they're going to cover things like how to make money from an online course, financial love, making money in relationships, climbing the corporate ladder, building your side hustle, getting your business off the ground, all kinds of things. So feel free to go to womenofwealthweekend.com. It's women only, so men are not invited, so I won't be there. But anyway, okay, so with that being said, the one question I had, here's a question I had for, the Wall Street Bets forum and the Reddit dudes that they're all kind of doing this thing that they're doing right now. The big question I had was this. I said, okay, so what's the future of these companies that you're buying? What are you really trying to accomplish? Where's your head at? And really more specifically, are you a trader or are you an investor? Right? Now, an investor is somebody that plans to hold for the long term. It's like dating. An investor, ladies, an investor is a man that wants to be with you for good, for a long time, if not forever. But a trader is a dude that's looking for a booty call, one night stand, short-term situation, right? Maybe cuffing season, right? And so my question is this a hit it and quit it? Or is this like a long-term relationship you're forming with these companies, for reasons that go beyond just sticking it to the man? I've concluded that when it comes to GameStop, and this is important because this tells you what the future of GameStop stock might be. I feel like it's a hit it and quit it. I saw a lot of determination when Robinhood came in with what seemed to be the sinister move of restricting trading on this stock. When Robinhood came back and was like, you can't trade here. This is bad. You can sell, but you can only buy, or you can, you can buy, but you can't sell. Sorry, Scott, you know what I meant. You can sell, but you can't buy. That's what I meant to say. Right. So all this other stuff, I was wondering if the stock was going to pop at that point. The stock did not pop. It dropped a little, but it didn't really plummet to the true fundamental value. Remember, the fundamental value of GameStop is like $20, right? So literally you're trading. It's a complete fantasy. That whole stock price is a complete figment of somebody's imagination. Like, ain't no way GameStop is supposed to be at $300-$400. There's no planet or surrounding solar system in which that makes any sense at all. But that's fine. Reality becomes, imagination becomes reality. That's fine. So here's the thing. The stock didn't pop when Robinhood did what they did because there was enough resistance there where there were people who said, hold the line, hold the line, hold the line. And what's interesting to me is that this tells me clearly that this ain't really just about the money. This is about a bunch of people coming together with this coalition and sort of being a part of a movement. The same energy that makes a man go off to war, or a woman too. A lot of women have died in wars as well. What makes you go to war? It clearly ain't logic, right? Because you don't want to go there and get your brains blown out or your leg blown off, right? But you do it because you're like, I'm going to stand up for my country, right? I want to defend America. I want to defend the black community, right? Whatever it is you're trying to defend, I want to defend my family. You go to war because you have something that you believe in that's bigger than just, the material stuff around you. So they were going to war and they held the line. And what they kept saying is, don't sell, don't sell, don't sell. What they weren't really saying was, keep buying, or buy as soon as you can. I didn't really hear that. I heard don't sell. Remember, hold is very different from buy. A hold recommendation is different from a buy recommendation, is different from a sell recommendation. It's like, just stand still. Don't go forward, don't go backward, just stand still. Then I heard them talking about things like profit taking. Like, oh, well, here's when I like to take my profits. And the person I was listening to, I don't know this guy's name, but he had 23,000 people watching his YouTube live. That's a big number. I got about maybe 2,500 watching now. He had 10 times more people watching than we have right now. And I got a decent sized platform. I got almost 1 million subscribers across different channels. And so this guy who sounded like he was from the Wall Street Bets forum, I was like, okay, what is the ringleader telling everyone else to do? What is General Patton telling the rest of the army to do in this situation? And what I gathered was, it's like they're waiting for that right time to go ahead and take their money that they've made over here in GameStop and move on to the next battleground. I did not hear any talk in that time I was listening where they said, yeah, our goal is to buy into GameStop and to become activist investors. We love GameStop. We want to see GameStop win. We want to see GameStop modernize. We want to see GameStop become a better company. So we're going to go to shareholder meetings. We're going to vote. We're going to do this. They weren't talking like that. They were talking about like marrying the company. They were like, we're going to hit it and quit it. And the fact that they're trying to take away something that belongs to us is pissing us off right now. But after this is done, after we've clearly won this battle, we're going to move on to the next one. What does that say about the future of GameStop stock? It tells me it's a negative signal to me. I would be stunned if I were to see GameStop continue to go up or to maintain the price level that it is right now, because eventually they're going to get bored and there's going to be a new theater of war, and all the troops are going to head over there, and then it's going to be a new battle. To some extent, it creates what we financial scholar types call huge market inefficiencies, because now if you just want to know what to invest in, forget studying the fundamentals of the company. I mean, that's going to matter. Again, don't get me wrong. That's going to matter when the market crashes, which I told you guys, the crash is coming. Just get ready. Go, like, brace yourself. Like, count your blessings now, because some of those blessings are going to get taken away out of your bank account. And I just want you to be prepared for that. But when the market does crash, you're gonna go back to the fundamentals. Just like when people talk about, like Dr. Claude Anderson comes in and he talks about how at some point, if the grid disappears, or if there's a solar flare and it knocks out the internet, or if there's a war and it takes away basic services, like you're gonna go back to the basics of food and water, medicine and security. Well, you're gonna go back to the basics when it comes to stocks. Like, at some point, people are gonna look back on 2021 and say, my God, those people were out of their damn mind. There was literally a mania, meaning a type of insanity that took place financially as a result of the fact that it was so easy to make money. So fundamentals will eventually matter much more than they matter now. And they still matter for certain segments of the market. But when you get into those spaces where war has been declared, war is not a rational thing. War is completely irrational. In war, people will cut off their nose to spite their face. So in a war scenario, it's probably better to sort of study sentiment, meaning how the Robinhood traders are feeling, than it is to try to go in and say, well, technically, according to the debt equity ratio and present value of future cash flows, Robinhood, GameStop is actually worth blah, blah, blah per share. That ain't going to work in this market, right? And the Wall Street types are used to doing that when they choose which stocks to buy and sell and short. And if they do that, they're going to lose, right? It's just not going to work. So I think that they're going to move away. I think they're going to retreat, because I don't think they know how to deal with this. Once they retreat and the Robinhood guys know that they've won and the price is up, they're going to start selling. Right now, I don't think they're going to be deliberate about it though, because remember now the Feds is watching, right? 2 Chainz rapped about that, right? The hella fresh when the Feds is watching. So the guy that was talking was being very careful not to use specific language because he knows that the Feds are watching right now, and they're probably going to create regulations around this, maybe even try to prosecute some people over this. I don't know. But what they're going to subtly do is basically get people to not pay attention to that stock anymore and move over to something else. Take your profits and then move over. Because I don't know about you, but I know when I was 22 years old, if I went from having like $500 in my bank account to suddenly having like 40 grand, I'm not holding that stock forever. What about y'all? Give me a yes or no. How many of you, if you were when you were 22, as broke as most of y'all were, I don't know about y'all. I was broke when I was 20. Anybody else was broke when you were 20? How many of you, if you went from having $500 in the bank to 40 grand in the bank, would really be able to hold on to that stock like for dear life, like hodl, because you just believe in the cause? Like no, the cause I believe in was like paying my rent. Like that was an important cause for me. Like not being homeless was very important to me at that time. So I at some point I'm be like, okay, when am I gonna get my money? When can I go ahead and like get out of this? Because I'm not staying in this war forever. So I don't think they're gonna stay. I think that in about 2 weeks, I think GameStop is gonna shrink back down. Maybe not to what it should be, but probably much lower than it is right now. And that's just what it is. That's what I'm seeing. So I'll keep you guys posted on what's going on. But this morning I saw a price surge. Let me just, while we're talking, let me go ahead, hit the thumbs up button if you could. So it looks like today GameStop went up it went up 64% because they started allowing restricted buying again. It's at about 319, which is still much, much higher than what it should be. I would be stunned if it was anywhere close to that 2 weeks from now, but we'll see. We'll see. Now, as far as Dogecoin, some of y'all are asking about Dogecoin. Apparently, that's another thing that people are into, and you can actually buy the Dogecoin on on Robinhood. Now, let me just tell you about Dogecoin, just so you know, that coin is like basically worthless. It's like buying a pair of Gucci jeans that you can't even wear on your body, but you're buying it because it's got the Gucci label on it. But for some reason, it now has a $7 billion market cap, and it's now trading at 5 cents. I'm not here to really speculate on it. I just think it's something cool that people decided to get into, like a pet rock or something. Is the value going to maintain itself? That part is hard to tell. I bought some just because I liked, I think the momentum and the speculation on sentiment is a worthy thing to invest in, but I didn't take it seriously. That's not, when I look at the investments I have that are my serious investments that I'm holding long term, that I'm investing in for my family, and so that so I can retire and my family can do well and I can have something to pass to my kids. I'm looking over at my Disney. I'm looking over at my Amazon. I'm looking over at the major corporations I own pieces of. I'm not looking at Dogecoin. I'm not looking at GameStop. I'm not looking at any of that. GameStop was a hit it and quit it trade for me. At that moment, I was not an investor. I was a trader. I wasn't looking for a long-term relationship. I was looking for a really fun Saturday night, and that was it. And we got that. I made a bunch of money from it because it was as predictable as the day is long. But I encourage you to be very careful, because here's the last point. Somebody's going to get hurt. Right? Somebody's going to get hurt, because eventually the stock price is going to deflate. And this is where the regulators are supposed to come in, is that because so many people have been hurt, this was long before you were even born, because so many people have been hurt in the past when this mania would take over the stock market and everybody's an expert and everybody's telling you just to jump in and buy. Well, some people get there late to the party. And when they get there late to the party and the stock price deflates, they lose everything. So I just encourage you, please be really careful, right? Please be careful. And again, none of this is investing advice. I'm not here to give you advice on what to do. I'm just here to tell you what I'm seeing, and I hope that this helps you. So anyway, I got to run out of here. And by the way, some of you are asking how to dig deeper into stock market investing and all that. So I think everybody should learn this stuff. If you haven't done it yet, you can feel free to go to firstsharestock.com, where not only do I have a free training on how to buy your first share, but also you get on an email list and you get free access to free information from me every day I email you all kinds of stuff, and I'm a PhD at this stuff, so I know this stuff really well. And I really just want you to be fully informed. So the URL is firstshareofstock.com. That's firstshareofstock.com. And some of you are asking about stock options and stuff like that. If you're more elevated and you want to get into stock options deeper, there's a lot of ways to use options to not just increase your risk. A lot of these guys know how to buy the options, but they don't understand all the things options can do for your portfolio. So if you're interested in taking a look, feel free to go to my masterclass on stock options. That's stockoptionsmasterclass.com. All right, I'm out of here, guys. Hit the thumbs up button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button on your way out. I will talk to you soon. Please have a great day. This is Real. Talk to you later. Peace.